And let's get into the business of the Rogers Trust. Now, what we need to do here is to clarify it, because maybe it's my problem. As a columnist, I see these issues day after day, and I don't know what to do. I've reached out to you. You've tried your best, and your great team to explain it. I've reached out to the Valerie Jepson, who's the Integrity Commissioner, who is kind of boxed in on what she can tell me. But this is how I see it I wanted to get this out so you understand how I see it.
Yep.
I see you talking about Uber, and I see that, Rogers has agreements with Uber. You can minimize how little they are, but it's a business agreement. It's the same as Mayor Ford with his, 2,000 tags to somebody that got some help on a parking thing, or raising $3,000 for the football foundation. That went all the way to the Ontario Supreme Court. So, you can talk about small all you want, but we're talking about things that. So I sit here as a reporter and as a columnist, and I go, okay. I like the mayor. He's doing a great job. He's certainly modernized it. He's making the city proud. All those things, but there are rules, and again, this is something that's out there. And so then I dealt with that today. Then I wake up today and I see Microsoft, and it's the same thing. Microsoft has got all kinds of business arrangements with Rogers, and so I see you as sitting on this control trust, Mayor Tory, John Tory, the individual, and you say, well, it's just working with the family. Do I understand it right? Do they not, the family, the control trust, not control 90.9% of the Class A voting shares for RCI or Rogers Group?
Yes, that's right, Joe. And what the trust does is the trust owns those shares and receives the dividend income, just like all the other shareholders, except they have a lot of them. And the trust helps the family to invest that money in other things, whatever they might be. Some businesses the kids might want to get into. We give the family some advice with respect to, just even how they deal with their charitable givings. They recently gave away more than $100 million to hospitals in Toronto. So we deal with those kinds of things, and we do not deal with what sales the company's having on phones, or what price they charge for cable, or how much the operating company is making. The dividends come off the operating company shares. And when you raise the Microsoft issue today, I should explain that to the listeners, because I don't want them to have the wrong impression. And when you sort of throw these things out there, it leaves the wrong impression. I participated in a press conference today where Microsoft announced a huge investment in Toronto. The first data center they're building anywhere in Canada. They picked Toronto because we convinced them to pick Toronto. This is a wonderful celebration. Rogers happens to be one of, guess how many customers that Microsoft has in addition to Rogers in this country, in the cloud computing business? 12,000. So
there's 12,
I didn't even understand your point. I was there to say thank you, Microsoft, for investing in Toronto. I don't know what that has to do with Rogers, quite frankly. I was there to celebrate an investment in our city. I'm out there, Joe, by the way, and you can say what you want, but I'm actually out there doing things that my predecessors, plural, didn't do very much of, which is really hunting down investment for the city.
No, you're doing that. But here's the thing.
Well, that's jobs for people, Joe, and it's better service for people and more innovation.
But it's
also nothing to do with Rogers. Zero.
Well, so Rogers makes no profit from it then. The reality is it's a business that Rogers sells. And the thing is that it says right in
along with 12,000 other people.
No, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about the mayor of the city. And listen, I'm all for. Just let me finish what because you said you don't understand my point of view. Well, that's what we're going to get out here so that we're on the same page. And I have a suggestion of how we can do it as well. The way I read it, the prospectus for Rogers, is it says in 2014 and 2013, you had somewhere in the neighborhood of 111, 114,000 shares. I don't even know if you...
Yeah, that's publicly disclosed. So
right.
What's the issue with that?
Well, no, the reality is that you're an owner, $5 and $6 million worth of stock of this company.
Yes.
And don't the rules...
I own stock in a lot of companies, Joe.
Okay, but you as the mayor, you know that there's conflict of interest issues.
Yes, and I meet regularly with the Integrity Commissioner, and she's aware of my holdings and my different involvements.
So is there no conflict of interest, and why is it that, is she telling you that there's no conflict of interest, and do you think that this is something maybe that you need to disclose a little more, or do you think that it's just a stupid columnist that shouldn't be raising these things?
No, you used those words. I didn't. I'm just saying that when I'm there to celebrate an announcement by Microsoft of an investment in Toronto, a significant step forward for us in terms of our being a city of innovation, this has nothing to do with Rogers. It just has nothing to do with it. Zero. I didn't mention Roger's name. I was just there.
You don't have to, though. You don't have to mention
it. The chief operating officer of Microsoft came to Toronto today. He probably never comes here, not very often. And one of the top guys. And I was just there to say thank you for investing in our city. And I will continue to do that.
Yeah, but you say that there's 12,000 customers there. How many of them are the size of Rogers?
They're big. They're all, Ross, big companies. Though this is a business. Well, some of them are smaller businesses, but there's lots of big companies. Probably many of the big companies in the country, including the banks, because he mentioned the banks in particular today, use the Microsoft cloud services and are involved in partnerships with Microsoft. And so, to me, this was something that, as I say, I was there today to thank them for investing in Toronto. And so, if I'm, in trouble for that, well, then I don't think I am with the vast majority of people who would.
You're not in trouble. You're not in trouble with me with it either. I appreciate what you're trying to do. I'm trying to do my job, which is to raise the question to get a fair answer. I don't even think it's for you to answer. I think it is for Valerie Jepson to answer. And here's what my suggestion is. And I like her a lot. She's obviously not going to disclose the private conversations that she has with you, Mayor Tory, but I think that there needs to be something. This is not just me talking here. There's a lot of people that are, obviously behind the scenes that are concerned about this issue. Some of it for political reasons, and some of it because there are people that are sticklers about the rules, and because of what happened with the previous mayor before, where he actually had his job vacated over $3,150 for a football foundation. And, I listened to your show, and you were not a fan of what happened on that issue yourself. Although, again, you were at that time doing a radio show, it's a whole different thing. But nonetheless, I have a list here, and I've written about some of these things. Obviously we mentioned Uber, Microsoft, MLSE, Live Nation, the Toronto Argos, the CFL.
So what's the issue on Live Nation, Joe?
Well, the issue with Live Nation is, okay, so I wrote about this before, and you didn't appreciate it, I don't think, but you went down.
Again, why don't I tell the listeners, my son works there. Okay, and Valerie Jepson's aware of that, but my son is not in management. If you read the conflict of interest legislation, it says that it defines the kind of person.
He's a manager of ticket sales.
If anything to do with Live Nation came up, I probably would declare an interest, but nothing has come up with Live Nation, so I don't even know why this is under discussion.
Well, no, that's good. There it is right there. So the mayor has said if anything came up with Live Nation, he would declare a conflict of interest with it. That's what I'm looking for from the mayor. Who each of these things, as long as the public can know, and as long as a journalist like me know that it's being taken seriously, and as you did with the Island Airport, as you did with the
Joe. Look, first of all, I want the listeners to understand. I think we had an understanding you were going to ask me one question about all this, and you've now spent 10 minutes on it, and that's fine. But I also just want you to know that I am a scrupulous person about following the rules. I've had meetings and correspondence with the Integrity Commissioner. I've taken legal advice from more than one lawyer, and what I'm doing is proper within the law. And I think most people out there, when you talk about all the buzz about this, it's funny that no one's asked me about it, no one's spoken to me about it, and no one sent me an email about it. And so at the end of the day, I would just say to you that I am following the rules. I think people don't in this city question my integrity, and I will continue to follow the rules. And that's, and I'm doing my job. I'm working hard every day for the people of Toronto.
Yeah, we know that.
And
we know how hard you work since 6 this morning, and we're not questioning your integrity here.
No, that's exactly what you're doing.
No, that is not true.
Anyway, look, we've had enough on this. I thought we had an understanding there was going to be talk about the issues and not about this issue, but that's okay.
Well, let's switch gears.
No, we're done. It's 10:30, so you've got to go and check on traffic again. And I think if you want to switch to a real issue, then that's okay.
Yeah.
But
yeah, we do.
Mayor Tory, could I just ask you this? Will you make that framework public that shows that there's no conflict of interest?
When you say what framework are you talking about, Ross?
The framework that the Integrity Commissioner asked you to put together to make sure there wouldn't be any problems. I'll explain it simply.
She and I have correspondence back and forth that is public already. It was made public when I was sworn in as mayor.
No, but the framework isn't there. See, if I'll just finish this one.
Yeah, no, Ross, I said we were done with this. Look, I agreed to come on with Joe. I said let's just switch it over.
Let's switch it over to the Gardner.
Some sort of a cross-examination on something that I think is a non-issue. And I think, so I just think we'd be better off to say goodnight, because I've had a long day, and I